Welcome to another class in the series of Ibn Ezra in the Parasha. This is Rabbi Nathan Dweck in Parasha Plus Study. This week, Parashat Vayera, the test of Abraham in Akedat Yitzhak. So, Ibn Ezra explaining what exactly was this test, quote unquote, Veha Elohim Nisa et Abraham. What is going on here in the story? What does God want from Abraham? What is he asking of him? So Ibn Ezra begins with a bunch of different interpretations of this pasuk, Veha Elohim Nisa et Abraham, and then finally gives his opinion on this episode. Yesh omer, ki hasamach tachat shin ve'ahe tachat ha'alef. There are those that want to explain that this word nisa is not the test, but rather flip around the samach with a sin, the he with an aleph. And when you have here then is that God uplifted Abraham through what he did here in a way of having him come to sacrifice his son, telling him not to do it, and by such uplifting Abraham Avinu in this episode. Says Rabbi Abraham Ibn Ezra, this is against the entire meaning of this entire episode. We have here where within the writing of the Pisukim, the way that it's spoken, Ki ata yadati ki ere Elohim ata. This is not just to uplift Abraham. This is to test Abraham Avinu. One is the knowledge of God. That God knows what is going to happen before it ever happens. So God always knows what is going to be. והשנית, דעת היש הנמצא. וזה פירוש ניסה, גם כי עתה ידעתי. That here we're talking about that before Abraham would now do this in actuality, that God gave to every human being the ability of free will. And now when Abraham passes his test, now this becomes the hayesh nimsa. This becomes what's there in actuality in the world. Is Abraham Avinu actually does the action because mankind was given the ability in our realm of understanding to do this action. And now, ki atayadati, now that this has happened, now HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what Abraham did in actuality, not just what he would do in the future. Now he quotes Rabbi Sa'ad Gaon, Shemilat Nisa leharot sidkato libnei Adam, to show others the righteousness of Abraham through this episode. And he explains, Kamilat yadati, ki atayadati, kedam hodati, to make known. So Rabbi Sa'adia reads the pasuk as follows. Don't raise your hand against the boy. Don't do anything to him. Because now I have made known to others that you fear God. And as you see here in Rafitihi's Humash, the Arabic translation, here in the Pesukim, Fan Allan Araft Alanas, which means Ki ata hodati libnei Adam. Not that I have known, rather I have made known to others that you are Yere Elohim. Ibn Ezra has a lot of trouble with this because he says, who else was there at the time? V'alo yada ze hagaon ki b'sha'a she'akad beno lo hayu sham afilu ne'arav. Even the ne'arim that were there with Abraham that came to the location, and he says, wait here, will return to you. They weren't even there at the time of the Akedah. So who else is knowing here in this story about Abraham? We're not talking about the readers later on, or those who are going to find out about it. Ki ata, now I have made known to others. Ibn Ezra says this is not a possible interpretation. והחרים אמרו, כי פירוש ועלהו שם לעולה, שיעלהו אל ההר, וזאת תחשב לו לעולה. Just bring him up to the mountain, and that will be like a korban olah, not literally to make a korban out of him. Midrash brings this option. And that Abraham lo yada soda nevuah, Abraham did not know the secret of God here, what God wanted him to do. And God says, I never asked this. And as well, Ahirim amru, hir'ah sheta'aleu le'olah kimo bishkita otam yayin. Yirmiyah was told to the Mishpachat Rechab, he never actually was told to actually make them drink wine, because they were sworn to never drink wine. Rather, he meant as if to do it, but not really to do it. Ibn Ezra says, what troubled these mefarshim so much that they had to go to such lengths? Because they were troubled by the fact that God said to bring Yishak as an olah, and then as if he changed his mind. So therefore we say that he said to bring him up, but not really to make him a korban. He says, for example, what, so you're going to say that God changed his mind, Bechorim, and then the Leviim come to work in the Mishkan. But start from the beginning. It says in the Psukim clearly, God tested Abraham. This is a test. To do what? To see Abraham's faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, kedeh sheyekabel sachar. This was in order so that Abraham would receive a reward from HaKadosh Baruch Hu for his commitment to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he did not waver in this demand, in this request, in this sivui, but rather he was committed to God, and he brings Yishak up as an olah, and at that point God says stop, and he rewards him and says, Ki ya ana shirasita devar hazeh, because you did this, and you did not hold your son back. Ki barecha barechecha, I will bless you, ve'arba arbe zarcha chorei hashamayim, and I will multiply your seed like the stars, ve'chachol asher asivat hayam, ve'yira saracha, and your descendants will conquer their enemies. Why? Simple. Abraham passed a test, a nisayon. No need to go through loops to reinterpret what's meant over here. No. Abraham passes this test, and as a result, gets the reward that God promises him that he would get for passing this test of the Akedah. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.